Okay. Let me know if you guys can hear me well. Wait, let me turn this on. Oh, okay. Wait, let me turn this on. Okay. See, there's like a big latency. I just want to make sure everybody can hear me. I'm still new to live streaming. Wait, let me turn this on. See, there's like a big latency. I just want to make sure everybody can hear me. I'm still new to live streaming. Wait, let me turn this on. See, there's like a big latency. I just want to make sure everybody can hear me. I'm still new to live streaming. Wait, let me turn this on. Oh, the sound didn't set. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, it's a bit jarring to me, but I think I'm good now. I think this is better. All right then. All right. Well, okay. Well, then I'm just gonna go ahead and move on, everybody. So today I'm going to. Well, first of all, introductions. My name is Miss Asia from CodeSpeak Labs, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to draw hair. I'm your favorite illustration teacher. If you don't know me, everybody. So today I'm going to. Well, first of all, introductions. My name is Miss Asia from CodeSpeak Labs. We're going to be using Aggie today for our drawing. I'm your favorite illustration teacher. And so the link for the image that I'm going to be using for the lesson today. But if you guys want to, if you're interested in opening up Aggie for yourself and drawing along with me, if you so desire, you can do so. So if you go to aggie.io, you can go ahead and draw along with me. So I'm going to put the link to the Aggie website, and you don't need to make an account. You can just go ahead and click on the Start Drawing tab as soon as you take yourself to the link, and you can go ahead and draw right along with me. So I just put the link. Yeah, I just put the link in the chat for you all. You can just go ahead and click on the Start Drawing tab as soon as you take yourself to the link, and you can go ahead and draw right on. Oh, don't see the link? Let me see. And also one more time, can you guys still hear me? Just want to double check. Can't see it. Let me see. Yeah, sorry guys, just forgive me as okay, you can see it, the link now, great. Yeah, just forgive me as I'm a little slow here. Again, I'm just new to streaming, but we are going to be getting started pretty soon. Let's see. Alright. Yeah, and if you finally have the link, again, you can just go ahead and click on that. Aggie will automatically, once you press start drawing, it'll automatically open up a canvas for you all to go ahead and get started. Alright. Awesome. Okay, there you go. Tell me if you guys see this chart I am pulling up right now onto the screen for you all. Let me just move that under. Okay, guess I'll move this over here. Yeah. So just to show you guys also real quick. Oh, let's move this over. Okay, I see. So this is Aggie, guys. This is where you should see yourself if you do end up clicking on the link. And again, the file that you see here with the two heads, I'll be putting that in at the end of the video, at the end of the stream. So don't worry if you don't see this on your screen. All right, I think I'm all good now. Sorry for the lateness, but I think I'm all good now. Awesome. All right, great. So now that we are all here, why don't we go ahead and get started? Awesome. All right. So, like I said, so today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to draw hair. And I'm a professional illustrator. I love drawing characters and people in general. And if you're someone who also likes to draw characters, you'll know that, you know, hair and fashion and stuff like that is a very big deal when it comes to designing your characters. But the cool thing about hair is that there's a lot of different textures and different types of hair that you can draw to kind of distinguish your characters and, you know, do things that are different. And it's hard to kind of think of different styles and textures right on the spot. So I wanted to teach you guys today exactly what are the different type of hair textures that you can pull inspiration from and how would you go about drawing those things. So that's how I'm going to teach you today. Great. So, and with that, I'm going to start off just super quick with a little hair chart that I'm going to be going by. I'm going to reference the whole way through that I want you guys to check out. Okay, great. Comes up pretty perfectly. Let me just move me out the way. So this is a hair type chart. I'm not sure if you guys have ever seen anything like this before, but essentially the hair chart was created to just distinguish the different type of hair textures that humans have. And it's funny because we're drawing hair today and I have my hair covered, but you know, it's fine. But so have you ever wondered like, oh, what is my hair like? Why is it different than other people's? What do you call this? Or what do I do to take care of it? This is a great way or a great start to start figuring that out for yourself. So I have this hair chart here, and as you can see, it's divided into these 3 sections. There's technically a section 1, you see section 2, section 3, and section 4. There's technically a section 1, but section 1 is kind of often left out because it's just straight hair and not a lot of variation in that category. So we just have these 3 hair types here. So we have section 2, which is known as a kind of straight and wavy type hair texture. We have type 3, which is much more curly, looser curls. And then we have type 4, which is very, very tight curls. And then also within these 3 sections, we have segments of A, B, and C. And they just kind of illustrate what are the differences within these different sections. So type 4, for example, is what I originally said to be very tight curls, but 4C is so tight that it kind of just looks like, you know, poofy and kind of like where you get like a natural afro from. 4B is very tight, not as tight as 4C. We can see a little bit of curl, and then 4A is a bit looser. So those are kind of how it works within all of the sections. And that's, like I said, what I'm going to be using to reference for our video today. Alright, so now that we got that out of the way, here is Aggie. I have Aggie open now. Let me just move this over. I'm going to zoom in. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Oh, it's not enough either. Okay, great. So here is what we're going to be working with today. So I drew these simple head icons for us to work off of for our different hairstyles for today. And I think I'm going to start off with a hair type similar to 4C, as we see in our chart, because I think afros are fun, and I think there's a lot of different ways that we can go about drawing something that might seem as simple as an afro. So I think that's what we're going to start. Alright, so let's see. So as I said, I have these icons here, but I'm going to start with sketching. So I'm going to go to the pencil tool, where you see my little clicker here in Aggie. I'm going to go to my pencil tool to start off with, because like I said, I'm actually going to sketch out all of my ideas before I do any finalized ink or anything like that. You can pick whatever color you want for sketching. I always like to start off with a kind of turquoise cyan blue, because it's light, it's bright, so it's easier to see on the page, and it allows me to go back over my drawing pretty easy. And also, if you look at the bottom of the screen, we have our layers here. This is our layer section. So if there's any of you who have not done digital art before, which is fine, there is a thing called layers, which works equivalent to having multiple layers of pieces of paper to draw on if they were see-through, and you could kind of see everything that's under it. So it makes it easier for us to separate different objects that we're drawing. And to make a new layer, you can go to this little rectangle, this white rectangle with the folded corner, and that is our add. It says add layer when you hold the cursor over top, and if I click on that, it creates a new layer for me. And you can click and hold onto these layers to shift them however you want. So I'm going to work on layer 3. So my layer 1 has my head icons on it, and I'm actually going to name that just so we're never confused. Head icon. And I did that just by double clicking on where it said the layer and the number, and it allows me to type. So that's my head icon. And then my layer 3 is going to be my sketch layer. And that's where I want to work off. So I have my pencil, I have my color picked out. I can change my size right under the color wheel. I'm going to keep it like 20 pixels. And alright, so we're going to do an afro braid. I'm going to zoom in. Oh, keep doing that. Alright, so there's multiple different ways you could probably go about doing an afro. I think the most simplistic way you can go about having an afro is you could do something as simple as, oh, let me zoom out. Yeah, there you go. As something as simple as a circle. Oh, okay. Okay. So I can simply draw a very quick circle and, excuse my uneven lines. But I could do something as simple as making a very basic circle, maybe adding in some loops at the forehead where maybe the hair would drop. And honestly, I could stop there and I think it would look like an afro. Maybe draw in some curves into the inside of the circle just to symbolize that there's actual like puffs coming out, kind of like how we see on our hair chart, that she has those puffs. So that's a very, very, very simplistic way to go about drawing an afro. So I'm going to keep that, and then I'm just going to use another layer. And I'm actually going to turn down my pencil because I didn't realize it was going to be that chunky. So turn it down to 3 pixels. And so another way that we can go about it that I think is going to add a bit, ooh, okay, I didn't do that, okay, okay. Another way that we can do an afro that I think is going to give it a bit more flair is you can kind of think about dividing the afro into different sections. So maybe I'm going to start off with a circle again. I'm going to sketch it out so I'm going to be more loose about it. Okay, that's kind of big. Let's go back. I'm going to sketch out a basic circle that goes around my character. And this is just a sketch, so it's okay for it to look a little messy. It's alright. So this is just giving me an idea of where my curls are going to go. So I have my basic outline for my afro done. Then I'm going to choose a darker blue because I'm going to draw over top of this to start deciding what exactly these little puffs are going to look like. So I'm going to pick out a darker blue and I'm going to make a new layer and start drawing over top of that. So now I have where I think my afro is going to be. In terms of how these puffs might actually look like, you can start by drawing these individual sections. And I'm just going to keep doing that until I get something I like. And if I don't like something, I'm just going to go back and try and do it a bit better. Maybe we have some smaller puffs that connect to some gigantic puffs. Maybe some medium-sized puffs that go on the inside. And some more smaller puffs at the outside. And just essentially do different variations of this. However you want, whatever you think looks best to you. And my goal is just to make this look as fluffy and chunky as possible, if that's a word to use, for lack of a better word. And I'm creating these layers of puffs, almost like marshmallows that are kind of like over top of each other. And so we're starting to see a better form of an afro, I think. I'm just going to keep creating more in the inside until I'm satisfied. There's some more over here. Maybe I want my afro to start diving into my character's face. Maybe, what's that? Making way. Let me see. Let me try that again. Okay, great. Actually, I think I'll leave it out of the character's face for now. Keep it simple. And now that I have a general idea of where I think I want this to be, and if you make any mistakes, you could take the eraser. That's right here, this eraser. And just go ahead and fix it and turn it down a little bit. And so now that I have my general puffs, I think, all in place, I'm just going to go ahead and, like the first very rough afro we did the first time, I'm going to add some more right at the hairline section, just so that we know the hair is falling kind of naturally. There you go. And then I'm going to turn off my rough. Oop, I don't know why that is happening. Let me go back. Okay. I'm going to turn off my rough blue layer just by clicking on the little eye icon that's next to that layer. So if you see me turning it off and back on, and I'm going to turn that off. And now I'm just seeing my rough sketch of my little puffs that make up this afro. Just want to fix that. And there you go. I have a cute afro. I think it looks great. What do you guys think? I think it's good. All right. So, okay, great. So we have our basic afro. Now, I think for all of the hair ideas we're going to try, we're going to definitely try it on this sideways profile of the head icon as well, just to see what it looks like from the side. And first, I think I'm going to try and move this head icon over a bit. It's a little close. So just want to move this over. And if you ever need to move something over, you can click on this Lasso Tool right here. So it's this thing that looks kind of like a rope, and it has the cursor at the end of it. You can click on that, draw around your object where it'll show this dotted line as you see here. And then once you have that drawn completely around your character, it has to connect all the way, a whole 360. You can click on this tool that has the directional arrows, and then it allows you to move the character wherever you want. And I think I'm good with there. And then I think to get rid of the dotted line, you can go back to your lasso tool and just tap on your screen, click on the screen with the mouse, and it gets rid of it. And so now we have our arrow from the front. I'm going to turn back on my rough light blue afro sketch, because I'm going to go back to that light blue using the pencil tool, and I'm going to roughly draw out where I think I want the afro to go on the side profile facing head icon. And so when we're doing stuff that's from the side, it tends to look a little different. So we know we're going to have hair hanging down at the top of the head, kind of like how it does on the other head icon. Maybe some hair is falling to the side of the hair, or to the side of the face, I mean. But roughly, we're going to keep it as a basic circle as well. And maybe I want some hair that's going to kind of hang low past the neck area. Move that. Kind of wish. I think I'm going to move my head icon back over just a teeny bit and give me room for this big afro we have. I'm going to move my head over to like right there. And then lasso tool, the hair. Oh, I'm on the wrong layer. And move this over as well. Okay, so I think that's good. I'm just going to put on my finishing touches with this basic outline of my fro. And I think that's good. Like how big it is. It's about the same height as the first one on both ends. Just as tall. Reaches where it is at the bottom. So now that I have that, I'm going to go back to my final rough, which I'm also going to type here. We'll call this a final, or a final sketch, that's what we'll call it. And I'm going to change the color of my pencil to a dark green. And from there, I'm going to go ahead and add my little puffballs again. I'm going to continue on with that. And it doesn't have to match up perfectly with the way it looks in the first one, especially considering that this is a side profile. So you can just go ahead and maybe make different sections of puffs now. Forgive my wonky, just my pencil being weird. So yeah, I'm just going to, just like the first time, I'm just going to start layering a bunch of puffballs, I think, to my liking. Oh, I want an eraser. I don't know, I need some puffs at the front that are hanging down. Maybe some of the hair starts hanging down on the side of the face. Maybe this time there's some puffs overlapping on this side. I'm going to do a good mixture of smaller puffs and bigger puffs. I think it'll look a bit more natural that way. You can do even puffs as well. It's all about style at that point. Oh, you guys see me now? I think it just went out of connection for a quick second. I think it's all good now. Alright, I think we're back though. Alright, so I'm gonna move on. Okay, great. So we have an afro, puffy afro from two different directions. I think it looks great. And then if you want, you can go ahead and take the brush tool, right where my cursor is over here to the left, and you can, you know, take a black color and go ahead and outline that if you want. I think I'm gonna go ahead and move on without actually outlining this, because really I just want to teach you guys how to draw these different hair textures. It's not really about having a final, like, fully finished illustration at the end. So I think we're going to leave it in its sketch phase, and I'm going to turn off that light blue so we can just get an idea of what this looks like. And there you go. I think this looks great. Let me just fix this section up for me. And great. Afro. So we're done. I think it looks great. Awesome. So like I said, this is a much more 4C type of hairstyle, basing it off of this section of the hair chart that we hear. And even as you can see here, you see these little puffs in her hair. And I think we did a good job of getting that in the drawing as well. So great. Alright. Now we're going to move on to a different hair type. We were in section 4. I think this time we're going to move on to a different section. Completely out of 4. Alright. I think I'm going to ask you all. I don't know what's going on with my connection. I don't want to change it. Let me change it. Alright. I'm going to ask you guys, what do you think? What's another hair type you think we want to try next? So I picked the first one. Do we have any suggestions? I think I'm going to pick the second one for now, and if you guys have any suggestions, you can go ahead and add it into the chat, and then I can work from there. I see in the chat that some of you guys have 3C. So maybe I'll do that next. I think that's a good idea. Alright, so where's 3C? So 3C is right here in the chart. Okay, great. And we see that it's a looser curl. It's not as tight as any of the curls in 4, but it's still up there in terms of tightness. It's not as loose as 3B. 3A starts to turn into wavy curls. 3B is very much curls, but it's very loose. 3C is the tighter of that section. Alright, I think we can do that. Alright, great. Let's do 3C here. So, I'm going to name the layer that we have for the Afro. I'm going to name it Afro. We can get rid of this one. And I'm going to turn off our Afro layer. And we'll name this Afro Rough. And I'm going to create another layer. And we're going to name this 3C Rough. Alright, great. So we're going to go back to our bright blue. That's what we're going to start off with here. Oh, okay, and I also see that we have a suggestion for straight. So I'll show you guys next. Okay, so we have our light blue picked out for our rough sketch for 3C. Make sure we're on our pencil tool, and I think we're going to keep the pixel at 3. I'm just going to zoom in a bit. Ooh, a bit. Up. Okay, I'll do this from my computer. Alright. So we're going to start with our straight facing head icon. That's where we're going to start. And alright, great. So, like I said, so the curls for 3C, they're on the tighter side in the third type section, but they're still a bit loose. So I think the best way to decide how are you going to distinguish your hair textures is maybe to look at the very next hair textures around the ones which you're deciding to draw. So like I said, we're going to do 3C, but let's take a look at 4A and 3B to really make sure we're getting the difference between those and 3C. So as I said before, 3B, I think 3B's curls are a lot thicker, or a lot bigger, I should say. They're a lot bigger. They're kind of curls you think of that maybe you would make with a curl iron, or maybe like smaller rollers. And 3A curls are kind of curls that you can fit into your, like between your fingers. And I actually have 4A, even though you can't see it. But yeah, 4A would be curls that you can put in between your fingers. So maybe we'll do a quick exercise on the side. So if I zoom out, so if I was to represent 4A, maybe 4A is something that kind of has a pattern like this. I think the curls will kind of look like this for 4A. Like I said, they're tight, they're kind of small. You know that there will be strands that you can fit in between your fingers. And I think 3B, so this is 4A, and I think 3B would be much larger curls. Excuse the roughness, it's just an example. That maybe would finish off with a loop at the end. And so this would be, let me just, yeah, this would be 3B. So we know we want 3C to be somewhere in the middle of these. And that's what I'm saying. That's why it's a good idea to check out the hair textures that are next to the one that we're working at. So for 3C, I think, so it's probably going to be a wave that's a bit similar to 4A. But just slightly bigger. So maybe 3C will be something like this. We don't want it to be too wavy. We don't necessarily want it to look like this or anything similar to that, because that's going to start falling into the 2 type category. So we want to make sure our curls are clumping up on each other. Maybe like this. They're a bit more, they're clumped like this, but they're not forming these ringlets that we see in 3B maybe. So this would be 3C. Let's look at, yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah. Alright, great. So that's what we're gonna work with for this. So I'm going to turn this layer off. I'm gonna make a new layer again. Oh, well, we have 3C rough. Okay, great. We're gonna work on there. And the last sketch that we did for the Afro, she had kind of very like long hair. So I think for this one we're gonna keep it a bit short, which will work considering the more details it'll require. Excuse me with the wonky zooming in and out. Alright. Great. So now that I have my pencil, I think I'm going to start with framing the head again. So maybe I know, if we go back to the hair chart, her hair isn't necessarily all the way up, but it kind of hangs down, but it still comes out to the sides of it. So maybe that's something we're going to mimic. We're going to draw the rough place of where we think the hair is going to go. And maybe we know it's going to be on the sides of it. Let's see how she does it. She has it all the way to the side. Maybe we'll mimic her. So this is just to figure out exactly where we think the hair is going to go. So it's going to go all the way behind her ear, maybe. So this is the general shape that we're going for, I think. So now that we have that out the way, just move this down. We're going to make another layer, and I'm going to name this one 3C. I guess I'll just name it 3C. That's fine by itself. And I'm going to make my pencil color a bit darker because we're going to move on to our final sketch now. Okay. Alright, great. Okay, so we have a kind of idea of what this is going to look like, so we're just going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to start with the outside and work my way in. I think that's generally how I do all hair. You know, I start with a frame of the hair, and then once I start getting into the small details, I start outward and I make my way inward. You can do it however you want. You can start on the inside. I guess I just like the idea of making sure I know exactly where the hair is going to end, and that makes it a lot easier, so that it doesn't kind of get out of hand near the end, and I can just go ahead and do however much I want in terms of the inside of the hair. So zoom out a little bit. So we're gonna make, I'm on the brush. I'm gonna stick on the pencil, and I'm just gonna go ahead and mapping out how I want this to look. And again, it's okay for it to be rough, because this is still a sketch. It's okay for things to be rough. I know I want some hair to kind of dangle out on the side, because that's what hair does. You know, hair isn't oftenly perfectly shaped in any way. There's always like hair strands coming out to the side. But imperfection is human, and it's what makes us, beautiful. So I like to make sure I'm getting those parts when I'm doing the hair. And I'm going to do this curl until I get to the end. And I'm just going to go ahead and do a second layer that follows the wave the same exact way, a parallel way. all the way back up the shaft. And then I'm going to do some hair at the scalp, just to know, because as you can see, like, these curls are kind of big, so they're already taking up a lot of space. So I want to make sure that all the pivotal points, so the place where we're having our hair at the scalp and the outline of the hair, are going to be the parts we want to do first, just so that we're not running into any problems later. And I'm just going to keep on keeping on until I get all of this filled up. We're going to fill all of this up. And I'm going to come back down here. I'm going to make sure it creates a little loop at the end, because that's often what the hair does do. And yeah, I'm going to keep it going. And if you're someone who is at home who is doing this with me, tell me, like, do you think, is it harder to keep up with these loops? Is the Afro easier? Or do you like this better? Do you like the details? I like the details. I'm a very detail-oriented person. So this is kind of fun for me. We're going to keep it on. And is it? Okay. And this is the fun part of doing hair, is that you're essentially making these very cool, intricate looking patterns. They're not necessarily so intricate as we're just kind of doing the same thing over and over again. And it's just drawing kind of like a squiggly line the whole way through. But it looks intricate and it looks very interesting and detailed, and I really like the pattern. Oh, this is so cute. And alright, I'm going to pick up my speed a little bit. I'm going to see if I can go a bit faster so that we can go ahead and move on. And like I said, this is the sketch. It's just showing me where I think I want to go once I start doing a final line. So I'm okay with this looking a bit messy. It's just for the representation of the hair type. We're almost there. And another thing about hair that you always want to keep in mind is that when you're doing curls, curl patterns often do always turn in the same direction. They always loop in the same direction. So you want, however you decide to draw your first strand, you might want to keep it that way if you want to be a bit more accurate about it. And it's really coming together, and like I said, I think this is why it's kind of better to frame the hair first, to do my curls on the very edge of the style first, because it really helps me understand where I need to stop so I don't get lost, kind of get lost in the train of making these little loops, and I don't want to keep on going forever and ever. So drawing the outside always helps. Kind of like coloring, how you draw an outline of color before you color it in. It's just helpful in that same way. And I'll make sure again that I have some curls on the end. And then I'm going to just do my last strands to poke out here. And we're almost there. I know it seems like a lot of work, but we're almost there. And sometimes another cool thing about doing curls is that once you start getting into these cramped spaces, you can kind of just fake it till you make it, which is my favorite thing about illustration, is faking it until you make it. Not everything has to be a perfect strand that you can see everywhere. Sometimes I make things up, like if I zoom in here, we see this, but then we see these curls kind of coming out of nowhere, and let me see, like where is that going? I don't know, but it's fine because you can't tell when we zoom out, so that's okay. That's my favorite thing about illustration. It's kind of fooling my audience. You can't tell where those curls are going. You don't know where they're coming from. You don't know what strand that's supposed to be a part of. You just know that this is curly hair. So good. We're pretty much almost done here. See, like I said, I'm not even doing a full strand anymore. I'm just really repeating the pattern of the curls. And we're almost there. Fill that in. Keep filling this in. And yay, we're done. I'm just gonna add one more little curl. Okay. Okay, now we're done. Great. And now we have like a full bed of pretty 3C hair. We have the pretty afro now with the cute little puffballs. And now we have this pretty curly hair. I think it looks great. Wonderful. So that was a lot to do. So we don't have that much time. So I think I'm not going to do the 3C hair on the side view, but it's okay. I think this is still a good representation of how this can look and like the difference between this and the 4C type of afro hair. So let's see. Okay. So you have this nice bed of hair now. And I saw that somebody wanted to do straight hair, so we're going to go ahead and move on. I think for straight hair, I'll just do it on this side icon, since we didn't get to use it for the 4C hair. And it's so great because straight hair often isn't as, it doesn't take up as much space as much curlier hair. Like this hair, it's kind of taking up a lot of space, which is, it's nice. It's nice the way it looks. But this is going to work out for us on the page. And so, I'm just going to go ahead and do the straight hair on this side icon. So, I'm going to go back to, I'm going to go back to the rough layer. I'm going to make a bright blue again. Make sure I'm zoomed in as much as I want. And so you can do straight hair in a few different ways, actually. So I think I'm going to make a new layer to show you this. And so, straight hair, you know, we can do something as simple as a bang. And it's going to have this divot in the bang. That's where it stops. And have it come, the back side of the hair come all the way out and down the head. Maybe there's a strand of hair that's coming right before the ear, and then we have some more hair in the back. And it's pretty simple. There's not a lot to it, but what you can do to dress up straight hair in terms of drawing is you can play around with the individual strands within this basic shape. And it's kind of like how we did with the 3C hair, or even the afro. Like, you can always stop at a very plain basic shape, but you can always make it look more patternistic, more interesting when you start worrying about how do the inside individual strands look. And so when I do straight hair, that's what I do. So I'm going to take my pencil and make sure it's darker, the darker green that we've been using. And I'm going to go back over this. This time, when I come to my end, I'm going to create these individual sections of hair. And straight hair, we know it. I'm going to actually turn down my size of my pencil a little bit to, I guess 1. I guess that's fine. Yeah, that's what I want. So you know, when hair is straight, we often see a lot of the strands, oh, let me do that, kind of singly on top of each other. And because there's a lot going on with the straight hair in terms of these individual sections. I'm probably going to take another pencil over top of this to get an even final look. So let's see. I'm going to bump my pencil back up to 2 pixels, actually. Alright, great. And maneuver this a bit. Sometimes what I do is straight hair, not necessarily make it curly or wavy, but I just add a little flare at the bottom as if wind is catching it and it's just kind of flowing in a natural way. Just to give it some more oomph, I guess, if that's a word. Maybe there's, oh, not like that. Maybe there's some extra strands hanging out. And we follow this vertical line again. And again, with the strand of hair that's right in front of the ear, it's a huge chunk. So maybe we want to turn our pencil size down and add some individual lines in there to make it look like that chunk of hair is made up of a bunch of strands, which it is. So it's a bit more realistic in that way. And now that I have the more detailed line kind of figured out, I'm going to take away that rougher line, and I'm just going to keep on going and adding these little small strands of hair. Oh, keep doing that. And I want to make sure, the thing about straight hair is that even though we see it as straight, as the hair is going up above the head, we want to make sure that our lines aren't perfectly straight, because it's not really how hair reacts on top of the head. I want to make sure my lines are always a bit curved to follow the shape of the head. And when I get to this long section, I'm just going to go ahead and let my hand move wherever it lands. Because again, I don't want it to be too perfectly straight anyway, because it would kind of look maybe a bit unnatural if it was perfectly straight. Because hair is moving, it's getting caught by wind, it's overflowing, doing all of that business. So I'm just going to add in some lines, continue on with the line. I think I'm going to try and fix this bang a little bit. Bangs are hard in general, if I'm being honest. I think I'm going to get rid of my little extra strands at the top. There you go, I think I like that better. And then I'm just going to continue adding a bit more hair behind the neck, so we know it just doesn't stop abruptly. And then look at that, we have a good difference between these two, and even the afro. So if I take this off and that off, and I turn my afro back on, so this is our afro, this is where we started. These kind of like beautiful, again, puffy groups of hair for our afro, our 4C hair. And then we see the difference between that and the 3C hair and even the straight hair. So I think this does a good job of kind of covering the like a vague idea of kind of the differences between these different sections. So we have 4C, 3C, and where we went straight to 1 technically. So if we go back to our chart, again, the 2 section is hair that's a bit just wavy in general. And it's funny because if you look up at our 3C hair, it kind of looks similar to the 2C, but the difference is that it's much tighter and it holds up in a way that we know it's 3C actually. If it was 2C, it would be hanging down, not necessarily because it would be longer, but it wouldn't be coming out as much. But yeah, so we have 3C hair, and then we have 1 technically straight hair. So I think this does a good job at showing the differences between those. Let's see. So yeah, and seems like we're actually coming to an end of our stream here. So let me see. In terms of, I just want to see what else we have here. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do see how quickly I can do a type 2 style of hair while we're here, just so that we kind of get the full range. So we have a 4, we have a 3, and we have a 1. Why not do a 2? And I think I'm gonna base it off of 2B because I think that's a bit different. So again, this section 2 is just the wavy and curly hair. So I'm gonna keep it simple. Maybe it's coming out kind of like how it is in the picture that we have. But I mean, that's the thing about the looser the curls are, the kind of bigger, long, I don't know how I want to say it. Bigger they are, bigger they are vertically. If that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's okay. Maybe some strands hang out here. So this is going to be a lot rougher because I'm doing this within like 3 minutes here. And then maybe let me turn this up a bit. Maybe the hair is coming specifically from this section of the scalp right here, like right here on our scalp, and we get some hair that falls into the face here. Yeah, that's good. And we're just always doing like parallel motions. And we're going to just like follow that, similar to how we did the 3C hair. We're just going to keep following that with these same parallel motions until we get a full set of hair. It's really that easy, and it's cool because, again, the curls are a lot looser, so you can just kind of let your hand make whatever shape it wants to make because it's all valid in this hair type. And do some fillers. And then maybe end with the curl there, even though you don't really need it. And you can be more refined about this when you do like a final line drawing over top, but it's okay to just let it be rough for the sketch. You'll know what you meant when you did it, and so it's no problem. And there you go. And like maybe that's kind of a very, rough type 2 type of hairstyle. And so that's what I have for you guys today. Excuse the rough drawing at the end, but yeah, that's what I have for you guys today. I think this was really fun. I think it was fun to go over the hair textures. Yeah, I'll see you guys next time. If you ever have any suggestions about things to draw during the live stream, please feel free to tell me. And again, I'm going to link the image I use for the head icons in the video or at the description of the live stream once it's over. So yeah, my name is Miss Asia, for all of you who don't know. I currently have a drawing illustration color class going on right now, and I don't know if you might still be able to join in. But yeah, if you ever want to take classes with me, please feel free to check in with CodeSpeak Labs. And yeah, I hope to see you guys. So I think that's what we have, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you. Bye, everybody.